Oh, hello. It's me. Did you miss me? I've been gone for a week, so I missed you for sure. But welcome back to Northmont, kids. And I am in my house. I know. I'm sorry. I just can't seem to do this in the sanctuary. I guess it's just, you know what we're doing this week? I'll tell you what we're doing. So this week, some folks from the church and I are going to what's called a community garden. And every morning we go to this garden and we're helping to make all the fruits and vegetables grow that are on this garden so that the people in that neighborhood can have fresh fruits and vegetables to eat that may not be able to get them on their own. Okay? So it's kind of a mission for the church. And so, it's kind of a hot and sweaty thing. So I came home and got changed and that kind of thing. So that's what I'm doing this week. But I also, in addition to doing some work in a garden, also have a story for this week. So this one happens to be a Jesus story. And if you're the grown-up who is showing this to someone, the chapter is Luke chapter 12, and it's 49 through 56. So I'm going to kind of tell you this story kind of in my own words, all right? So Jesus had been spending a lot of time trying to explain to people what they should be doing with themselves, right? They shouldn't be spending so much time only worrying about themselves, right? Only thinking about themselves. But they should be spending more time thinking about how to care for other people. Okay, that sounds like a pretty Jesus thing to say. Yeah, okay. So I'll give you an example in a second. But then he says to the people, listen, some people are going to be able to hear that and do it, right? They're going to spend their time not thinking about themselves all the time, just them, but they're going to want to care for other people. They're going to want to do that for people. But not everyone is going to agree on doing that, right? So a dad might say to his son, I think we should do this, and the son disagree. Or a mom say that to a daughter. Any of that might happen, right? Sometimes we are not going to agree. And we have to figure out what to do whenever that is true. So that's the story that Jesus tells. It says, look, sometimes people are not going to agree. So what do we do? What's the right thing to do when we don't agree? Okay. So to kind of think about that, I want to give you an example. Okay, I want you to think about this for a second. Let's pretend that I had two plates. Okay, I had two plates, and I covered both plates. Okay, with like a bowl or like a napkin or something like that, so that you didn't know what was on each plate. Okay, and let's say I put you and your mom, or you and your dad, or you and your grandpa or your grandma or somebody like that. You and someone that you love right next to each other. And I put one plate in front of you and then one plate in front of them. Now, let's pretend for a second that when your mom lifted up her napkin, there was no cookie there. But in front of you, when you lifted up the napkin on your plate, there was a cookie on your plate. Okay? So now you have a cookie, but your mom does not have a cookie. Now, you have a couple of choices, right? Because your mom wanted a cookie, but she didn't get one on her plate. You wanted a cookie, and you did get one, which is great. So now you have a couple of choices. You can either eat the whole cookie, right? It was on your plate, you ate the cookie that was on your plate. Or You can eat some of the cookie and save some of it for later for yourself, right? That's another thing you could do. Or you could break the cookie in half, give half to your mom, half to you, and now you both have some, right? That's a pretty big decision, right? Because, we all like to have those things. But we also like to make sure that the people around us have things. That's important too, right? So, what do you do? Well, I think a lot of what Jesus tries to tell us, tries to teach us over and over and over again, is that a really good answer is to break the cookie in half, give some to your mom so that she has some and you have some, right? Because it's a good thing that you have in front of you, and so you want to share it. But that's a really good way of doing it. Now, some people may not do that. They might say, well, you don't have to do that. You can just keep it for yourself. But I think a lot of the way that Jesus talks to us is to talk about how we can share the things that we have, right? So, if we don't agree then on something, if we're not always sure what to do, if we're not always, if you think we should do one thing and someone else thinks I should do something else, how do you decide what to do whenever you're not sure and people disagree? How do you decide? Well, there's something that I think to myself that I think is a good way of living, and that I think is also the way, I think that because I think this is the way that Jesus wants us to live. Do the kindest thing that you can. What's the most kind thing that you can do in a moment? Right? If you're not sure what to do, should I go this way or that way? Should I think this or think that? Should I say this or say that? Right? If you're not sure what to do and people disagree on what you should do, think to yourself, what's the most kind thing that I can do? And then do that, or try to do that. And I think if you do that over and over and over again, you'll find that that is a really wonderful way of spending your life and living, okay? So, when we're looking at this story that Jesus tells us, I think that's what we're trying to learn. So, you might think to yourself, what does that mean for me every day? Okay? It might mean sharing the things that you have with people that don't have them, right? You have a dessert, your brother or sister or friend or mom doesn't have one. Hey, would you like some of this? Right? That's a wonderful thing to do. It might mean thinking, the person next to me is having a hard day, having a hard time, or is feeling lonely. What could I do? What would be the kindest thing for me to do for them? Right? You see someone who needs something, could use something, is feeling down, is feeling sad. What's the kindest thing that you could do? And I think that you'll find that if you do that over and over again, that you'll find that that's a really good way to spend your day. So, here's what I'd like you to do. I want you to think about some ways that you can do that, or some ways that you do already, and then share them with me, however you'd like. That'd be great. All right, let me pray, and then I'll let you go, okay? So, you can pray some version of this if you'd like this week. All right. Dear God, thank you for all that you give us. Help us to remember to be kind always. And when we don't know what to do, or we don't know how to act, or we don't know what to decide, remind us what the most kind thing we can do now is and do that. Thank you for your help. Amen. Okay. Thanks for being you. Have a good week. See you later.